when we go for outcome-based education, there is no outcome is only on the specific domain. The outcome should be all three domains. That is a cognitive, then affective, and the psychomotor. But here we will give a more focus on the cognitive domain for our theory papers, how we can set the question paper. First of all, we have to understand that what exactly the assessment, then what exactly the meaning of evaluation. Actually, this is a very critical term when we talk about assessment. Evaluation, many times you are not going to do. The question paper set by X and the lecture delivered by Y.
Man.
You know, the day-to-day lecture.
Man.
Yes, please. Yeah. Okay, fine. It's, I think, some. Okay. So the lecture delivered by some Y and the paper evaluated by the Z. So nowhere you can have a control of setting the question paper as well as the evaluation of the script. Only the lecture is delivered by you. Okay, so that is what happening in the evaluation. But in the assessment, this is the important component where you are going to deliver the lecture. You are going to see the progress. You are going to monitor the progress. You are going to give the feedback. And you are going to set the question paper for internal assessment. You are going to interact with the students. You are going to, motivate the students. Everything you are going to do. So I am collecting the data, not formally, informally. So when we talk about systematic collection of data, it is not like, completely everything in a formal way. How I am going to interact with the students, how informally I am going to collect the data. When I go to the class, how I make the student to readiness for my session. So everything, come in the part of the assessment. So that assessment to determine, it will help what the student have learned. Okay, what exactly they have learned. It not only content, how they are going to really solve their problem, particularly in their domain. And the way of they have learned, because you cannot ensure that every student is learning in the same way. Okay, so learning style is varies between the students. It's very difficult to have a same learning style for everybody. Somebody may be visual, somebody may be auditory, somebody may be read, okay, somebody may be kinesthetic. Okay, so the learning styles are different from individuals. So in this scenario, it is very, very difficult to have a common instructional strategy. It is not possible. You cannot go with the common instructional strategy, right? So that all the students learn in a same way. It is not at all possible. So what we are doing, we are having the instructional strategy. That instructional strategy meet all kind of learners, are suitable to all kind of learners. So whenever the instructional strategies vary, ultimately the interaction, the assessment part, everything will go along with these strategies. So how we are going to do? So that is the way they have learned, the student, they have learned the material. Okay, that is a process. Once the process is perfect, ultimately the outcome will be the perfect outcome. But here you can have a freedom. In the classroom, outcome is defined for your course. Whatever the course or whatever the lesson or whatever the unit you are delivering, that outcome is defined by the institution or by the university or your department. This course means these are all the outcomes. At the end of the course, the student must have this kind of abilities. That is what they defined. But you have a freedom on the process. Process in the sense, every day-to-day lecture, what are the examples you have quoted, how you are going to quote, all the things are completely independent on the faculty member. But if you regulate the process properly, then ultimately that outcome will be, you can easily deliver. If your process is not perfect, then that outcome cannot be, what expected from the course. So, the students, how they are learning, and before, during, after, how they are learning, making the impact on the particular concept. Again, These are the things we can determine during the assessment. But in today's scenario, the role of assessment is entirely changed from the very old assessment process. But our very old assessment process is a very powerful assessment process. I do not know how many of you still remember. Maybe I will give you one small story that our Mahabharatam story, where Dronacharya asked every Pandava and Kauravas to strike the fruit in the one tree, but everyone correctly answered the question, but he didn't ask everyone to strike the fruit. Only that Arjuna, though he put the question, but everyone capable to strike the fruit, everyone answered correctly, but that is not the intention to a particular test, because once it is that Dronacharya asked the Duryodhana whether you will be able to see all the fruits, whether you will be able to see the branches, whether you will be able to see the sky. Everything is true only, but he said yes, yes, yes for everything. But though the answers are correct, but that is not the intention of the questions. That is not the intention of the test. The test is once you are looking for the target, only target alone you have to see. Even all people, Bhima, everybody even in Pandavas, everyone said, yeah, I am seeing the tree, I am seeing the branches, I am seeing the sky, I am seeing the birds flying over the tree. Everything answered correctly, but that is not the intention of the test. Okay. Then finally Arjuna only gave, I didn't see the branches, I didn't see the fruits, other fruits, I didn't see the sky, I am seeing only the fruit which I have to strike. Then Dronacharya asked him to strike the fruit. So that is what the very old, still we have remembered the assessment, okay, how really Arjuna suitable for striking the particular, successful in the particular test. So that is the very old, assessment procedure we follow, but still we are following the same. That is what is called, we talk about validity. What's supposed to test? I don't want to test the arithmetic skill of the student and at the second year computer science bachelor students or third year computer science. I'm not more concentrate on arithmetic skills. Maybe my problem more towards arithmetic skills. It's nowhere it is important to them. So the third year or a second year computer science student or electrical student or electronic student, the main focus should be solving the problem in their own domain, not the lower level skills you need to test there. So by the way, the validity still we follow, but at the same time, due to fusion of technologies, okay, and due to various factors, socio-cultural factors, today the role of assessment slightly changed. The students are not considering as assessment is really helping them. Okay, students feel that the assessment is not really helping them. So in that scenario, there are a different thing. So what is the perception of assessment when the student, in the classroom? Actually, maybe I can ask to you, maybe I will open the chat box. I will, because I didn't put the polling, but I have a chat box. I can go to the chat box. Okay, you can answer for my questions. Recording, then chat boxes. Yeah, chat box. Okay, fine. Now I will ask you a very, very simple question. During your class, if you are during your class, if you are asking a question to the student, okay, maybe I will type it in the notepad. You can answer in the chat box so that I can get it. So during the class, you are asking the question to the student. What is the reaction? What is the reaction visually, and what he or she may think. Okay, this is the question I would like to ask to you. So as a faculty member, when you are asking the question to the students, okay, what really their reaction visually, I mean, you can observe, and what he or she may think internally, that also you can understand, because you are in the stage, you could understand everything. maybe you can type it to the chat box. Maybe I am waiting for you to get your answer. Maybe you can type into the chat box that what really the student feel when I'm asking the question. Maybe I'm starting the class almost 20 minutes over. Then suddenly I'm asking a question to an individual student. Then suddenly what the individual student think and how what I can observe from the student. Anybody? Because many people said no, good morning. Very nice. Very good morning to all of you. Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. I'm waiting. Not confident. So not ready to answer. Okay, fine. Very silence for a few minutes. Only then one student will start to answer. Very nice, very nice. You are asking one individual student. A student won't see the faculty face during the question. Yeah. So I'm individually asking. Discuss with the friends. No. Actually, I'm asking the student. Stand up, tell the answer. Then what reaction? Okay, that is what. Maybe one answer. Student won't see the faculty face during the questioning. Okay. Discuss the friends. They maybe feel discomfort to answer in front of others. Yes, wonderful. Student may think that they will be criticized for their answers. Yes, wonderful. Only 10% they will answer. Very nice. Silent think and then deliver related content. Very nice. So he is what is called Sugumari madam, Mallinayaka madam is very positive with the student. First silence, then think, then deliver. Wonderful. Very nice. Then. Very nice. So student won't see the faculty. Very silence for a few minutes. Only then one student one by one will start to answer. Maybe if I ask the class, maybe as Amuda Bihai madam say, thinking about the whole, I'm asking the question to the whole group, then it's fine. Okay. Then what else? Yeah. Try to speak, but they feel shy. Heads down. If they are confident about the answer, they would answer. Absolutely. But yeah, all your answers reflects that. What exactly they if they know the answer, they will tell. Even if they know the answer, the student will have discomfort. Okay. So what is the indirect meaning of discomfort? The students felt that I am threatened. Okay, am I right? Will you accept this? Maybe some of you maybe accept, some of you may not accept. Okay, suppose suddenly I'm asking the question to my students, then immediately they feel discomfort because though they know the answer, they discomfort. Then they will tell the answer. Absolutely, they will tell the answer if they know the answer. But still they have a doubt that whether my answer is correct or not. Then they will tell the answer. It's a teacher skill to appreciate, and even that answer is wrong answer, then it is not exactly correct, then maybe put a question another way, then bring the answer. Is a teacher skill is there that we are going to discuss different kind of a questioning. But the student feel that I am threatened. So the reason behind is the perception of the student when I do the assessment, what they feel, whether they are having a fear of assessment or they will be happy about the assessment. How many students feel that, oh, teacher asked the question, I am very happy, that? No, very, it is very difficult to have such a scenario. But when the situation will come, so whenever the teacher try to interact to the student, when they feel that very happy, at the same time, teacher is also considered, I wanted to ask the question so that they can improve. Okay, that mentality. Actually, controlling the class by questioning is also very much important. Sometimes some misbehavior is going on. You have to control that. But what is the perception? This we have to think about it. Okay. Then classroom assessment, when I do, what is the purpose of I am conducting the internal assessment? It is only that the institution is asking conduct the internal assessment that I am conducting, right? What I am going to interpret on it, and what feedback I am going to give it, what the usage of this is playing a major purpose. I am simply doing as a mechanical process, or no, I am doing this is only to improve my system. So that how the classroom assessment play the role. Then recent trends. what kind of alternative assessment? Because today what happened, sometimes the students feel that even in the exam centers or internal assessment or in the questioning, they feel that it's bored one, okay, asking the question written. So they wanted to have something interesting kind of interaction. So alternative form of interaction, alternative. So when I talk about assessment, is a systematic collection of data. So how I can collect the systematic data? It is only through some activities. So whenever you do some activity, then only you can collect the data. So what kind of activity you have to provide so that will be interesting to the student and you can collect the data. Then integration with the instruction. So instead of having separate assessment, how I can integrate the assessment with the instruction. Then self-evaluation. See, sometimes others, they will get the shy because of in front of others. Suppose if I am giving a wrong answer, then that will be a not good face for me. So instead of that, what I am doing, I am giving the self-assessment. So I am giving the question. Everyone take the notebook. You write your answer in your script. Okay, you no need to tell the answer. All of you open the notebook. Your file or your note. I am putting the question. Today I am going to, in our session, we are going to have 20 questions. So I am not going to ask to you, but whenever I ask the question, you have to write the answer in your question. If you do not know the answer, you say that I don't know the answer, like you can write, but you have to write something. Okay. Then I am giving the question at the end of the session, maybe 5 minutes, I can give all the questions. Then I ask the student to put the tick mark, whatever. Maybe one day it may not work, but after few days, everyone, they may not, they start to discuss after your session. They start to discuss how much you scored, how much I scored. One day, everyone wanted to improve. So how I can make have a self-assessment, not criticizing in front of others or not showing, you are not knowing the answer. Instead of that, how we can do self-assessment. Then how really that assessment authentic to develop the system. Right. So involvement with the students. So these are all the recent trends, what is happening in the role of assessment. Again, lot of research happening on motivation, instruction, teaching, all kind of teaching learning process, what we can do. Then what are the types of assessment? Then integrating instruction and assessment, that already we have said, assessment integrated with the instruction. What are the best practices we can do? How the assessment very complex or hectic? Okay, the realities of teaching. Teaching is not a simple task. I cannot say that teaching is a very, very simple. Teaching is really one of the complex tasks in the world, because your brain, today we are talking about machine learning. Make the machine to understand. We are giving the thousands of data. Okay, thousands of data. I am giving 20,000 data. Then I am preparing a model. Then that model will give the 90% accuracy only. So you just think about a neural network. It's not artificial neural network. Our neural network, my neural network has to interact with another neural network. That another neural network must follow my neural network when I deliver the lecture. It is really a very, very complex task, because they have to understand whatever I deliver with my delivery strategy. So it's a complex one. Then assessment and grading, decision making, how we are going to do. Then factors influencing the assessment. Today, the technology or standard based assessment or the stakes, high stakes on testing. So how these are all the factors influencing. So what we can understand from here is, really the assessment is a complex process, right? But how we make the process as very simple, systematic, so that our student get the real benefit of assessment process. Okay, that is what the fundamental. But the evaluation it's very simple, but people feel that evaluation is difficult. No, it is very simple, because X is setting the question paper, Y is evaluating the script, and finally they are going to grade. As a teacher, for my students, at the time of evaluation, I am not going to play any role. So evaluation is nothing but grading. Assessment is systematic collection of data for their improvement. So teacher only can do that one. So assessment is a major component in our teaching learning process. Why we have to go? Why we have to go? I should put that why assessment or evaluation, not simply evaluation, because that assessment is not only helping to the student, it is also helping the teacher. Okay, so how my student, whether my student able to follow or not, whether my student understand the concept or not, whether my student having a difficulty in understanding the concept, all the students are having the difficulty, or certain group of students having the difficulty. So all these, reflection or feedback I am getting only from the assessment. Not only that, the system need to be improved. By the time the teacher and the students, that important stakeholders alone cannot possible, how the administrators play the role. Maybe administrator in the sense, I'm not talking about pure administrators, maybe classroom committee or class committee, and the faculty members in the counseling, all the things, all the council, everything, how the whole administration system play the role. So everybody get the benefit of the assessment. It is not like simply lesson planning or preparing of outcome or a teaching learning process. So that will help the system. Okay, assessment is helping the system. But during our session, during our semester, we do different kind of assessment. So by the way, the assessment during my session, I will make the student to ready. Okay, that's called preparative assessment. So preparative assessment in the sense, I make the student to ready for the class, because for me it is a single session. For me it is a single session that day, or I have 2 sessions per day. But for the student, that is the 4th session or a 5th session or a 6th session or a 7th session. So continuously they are attending the classes. So by the way, how I make the student to ready for the class, again that will be a playing major role, right? There is a preparative assessment, because yesterday I delivered some lecture, today I am going to deliver some lecture. So the prerequisites need to be checked, whether the students are ready for today lecture or not. So by the way, how really the students ready for the class. Okay, so that is the space they are using to readiness to the particular session, right? Then second one is formative assessment during the class or during the semester. You see, during the semester you are conducting internal examination. So what is the purpose? Because that internal examination provide the detailed feedback to the teacher. So that way, how during the assessment, the ongoing assessment play a major role, or during the class, how the ongoing assessment play a major role. So that way, that ongoing assessment is considered as one of the important assessment procedure. You see, the statistics says that 93% of teachers believe that conducting ongoing formative assessment during the class is the best way to track the students, because whenever you do interaction, don't think that interaction is something different. Interaction is activity. You are collecting some data based on the interaction. So by the way, it is an ongoing assessment, right? So how much interaction you are doing during the class, that much data you are collecting. So that much data help you to understand the students. That much data help you to monitor the progress of the students. So that way, that will play a major role. Then summative assessment, it's purely on what is called grading. So here you are not going to play the role, but that is also very much important, because certification is there, grade should be there. So summative assessment, end of a course, end of a course, or end of a what is called the program, end of the program. So assessment initially we have to do, during you have to do, finally. So what is the meaning? Ultimately, assessment is integral part of teaching learning process. I cannot say that lesson plan I have to do in preparing the lesson plan before going to the class, or like we can have a different component. But assessment I cannot say like that. During the class I have to do, initially I have to do, end of the session also I have to do. So all the way I have to do. So ultimately that reflects that assessment is integral part of the instruction. Assessment is integral part of the instruction. But what we evaluate, you are all aware that graduate attributes, okay, because most of you are working on NBA document where outcome-based education, where you have every graduate, once a graduate passed out from your institution, okay, the graduate must have some attributes. Okay, what are those attributes? You know that list of attributes. But these list of attributes are coming under these 3 categories. One is cognitive, another one is behavior, the third one is the skill. Okay, all these attributes are coming under these 3 categories. So ultimately, the meaning is the graduate attributes need to be assessed. Okay, the graduate attributes need to be assessed. So that way, the graduate attributes is part of a cognitive domain, part of a psychomotor domain, part of affective domain. Okay, that way it will be there. Fine. So if you have any clarification, let us have a anything. Mostly hesitation on beginning, then after motivation. Yes, absolutely fine. Yeah, I will continue. If you have any doubt, you can just type into the chat box so that we can have a small discussion. Then we will continue. Otherwise, we will continue the session. Yes, fine. Yes, fine. Dear participants, shall I continue? Yes. Yes, no one is. Yeah, if you say yes in the chat box, I will continue. Yes, because just because. So fine. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, fine. But the very basic component is how to evaluate. When you talk about how to evaluate, normally we cannot always questioning the students or always interacting with the students. It is very difficult because I have to cover my syllabus. People talking about assessment, people talking about lesson plan, people talking about instruction strategy, all are fine. But when I go to the class practically, is it possible to have a assessment continuously interaction with the questions? It is not at all possible. Most of the time, as we are all the teachers, when we deliver the lecture to the students, we put one question, isn't it? Yes, that question we will put. Then another question we will put, do you know, able to follow? Are you able to follow? Yes, this is the question we will put. Do you have any doubt? This is the question we will put. So what is the meaning? Most of the time we say that, are you able to understand? Are you able to understand? This is the question we'll ask. Then any doubt? Question will ask. Then no, this is the kind of a question. Okay, this is the kinds of the question you will ask. Okay, is it not? Isn't it? Okay, this is the question we will ask. So what is the meaning is, always these questions you wanted to get the answer yes or no. Am I right or wrong? You wanted to question as yes or no. Never we will get no. Never we will get no. Never we will get no. Always students say yes. But see, this is what the common interaction in between. Every 10 minutes we will do like this. I think everyone will accept most of the time. Not in generic I am talking. Most of the time what we will do, we will put the question like that. Even I am taking my class, MTech students class, I will ask, are you able to understand? Any doubt? Do you have a doubt? Is it okay? Isn't it? Am I right? Like I will ask, I will confirm from the student. This is a general, colloquial way we will interact with them. Am I right or wrong? Like I will ask. No students say you are wrong. No students say you are wrong. No students say, no, I didn't understand. Some cases, sometime when the students are, we are not able to follow, is too complex. Like some students have a courage, they will come with that kind of a thing. So this is completely one kind of a questioning we can do. By the way, I am doing the interaction here. But other way, what happened? I am just monitoring the students. Other way, I am just monitoring the student. So while I am monitoring the students, I will be able to understand what exactly the student mind, because eye contact is one of the important way, strategy in the observation. So by observing the learners also, I could understand what exactly they are thinking. So when I talk about how to assess, maybe I can put the value, the word as how to assess. I can say observation of the learners is one way to assess. Then another way is interaction, or by questioning I can assess them. But when I do a questioning, most of the time we are having the closed-ended question. That is what I told you, that is, the question is nothing but, are you able to understand? Do you able to follow? Any doubt? Yes or no question, answer. But when we put the question in the open-ended manner, then you are asking the exact answer. Okay, you are asking the exact answer. So when you are trying to extract the answer, by the time you can get the clarity. But it is not always possible. Sometimes you can probing. You are probing the student. Probe in the sense you want keep on asking next. Yeah, fine. Next, yeah. You tell me you are correct. Like I am, probing. Then leading, then inspiring, funneling. Maybe start with the generic idea, end up with the narrow idea. Okay, start with the generic answer and end up with the narrow answer. Then sometimes we put them, rhetorical question like what is called practice oriented. So different kind of a questioning techniques are there. Okay, different kind of a questioning techniques are there. But each question will give different kind of a output, or it will reflect a different kind of a ability among the student. Okay, because all questions will not give the common ability. One ability may be giving the answer, thinking and giving. Okay, for example, I am asking the question here. Where the question is having more than one answer. Then ultimately the student will think and answer for the question. Okay, so by the way, each question may not give a same kind of each question will not reflect the same kind of abilities of the student. Each questioning will give the different show the different abilities of the student. So how I am going to questioning in the classroom, again, that is a very important component. In fact, one of my senior professor who retired from NITTT at Chennai, who usually say right question will bring the right answer. Sometimes our faculty member may not aware of putting the question. This is what statement he used to put in the training program. So what is the meaning? Sometimes the teacher will go to the class, right? They will write the title in the board. Okay, they will write the title in the board. Okay, write the title. Okay, suppose today I am going to talk about modulation. Okay. Then immediately I'll put a question. Anybody, do you know what is modulation? Then immediately I'll put a question like, anybody, do you know? Anyone, do you know? Do you know what is the modulation? Okay, this is the question. So if I ask this kind of a question, is it the right question to the class? No, definitely it is not the right question to the class, because to explain the modulation only today I am coming to my class. Okay, so asking the student to very generic or the title, that will not serve the purpose. It may be the form of interaction, but it will not serve the purpose, because purpose is very much important whenever I do questioning. So how I am going to handle the questioning is a very important component, right? Fine. So actually the types of question when we talk about, we have a major, very generic, we can have a subjective versus objective. Okay, subjective means maybe the answer, solution is common, but strategy may different, and different solutions different. So one solution, strategy may different solution to solve the purpose. So these are all the things are called subjective. Solution is a single kind of a solution. One output I am giving the always, this is the output. 2.75 is the output, but 2.75 I arrived with a different process, different strategy. Okay, so I am also using one kind of a theorem or one kind of a principle, then I am arriving 2.17 as output. But here 2.17 is also right, 7.45 also correct, 21.35 also correct, but that all solving the purpose. Okay, so that way the subjective means common solution, different strategy, different solution to have a solving the purpose, solve the purpose or solve the problem. Okay, so that is the way is called subjective. So very simple question I will ask, who is your favorite hero in favorite hero? This is the question I wanted to ask to female faculty members. Who is your heroine? Okay, this is I wanted to ask to male faculty members. Okay, so if I ask this kind of a question, right? I think participants are listening. So maybe can you type some of them? Maybe one or few answers. Let me get it. Few answers. Let me get it. Who is your favorite hero? That is two female faculty members. And who is your favorite heroine? That is the male faculty members. So now, yeah, is coming like a flooding. Actually, only female faculty members responding. No male faculty members coming out. Yeah, no male faculty members coming out. Only female faculty members coming out. Only female faculty. My father, wonderful. Actually, I wanted to have this kind of answer. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Actually, I would like to appreciate P. Sivalakshmi. Yeah, see, all other answers is correct. I never say Rajini or Arjun, Ajit Kumar, Amir Khan are wrong answer. All are correct answer. But see how you understand the question. Okay, see, when I put this question, immediately everyone thought that hero means only in the film industry. No, not like that. Okay, so I am asking just a hero. So hero means in generic I am asking. So a married, a female faculty member, say your husband may be the hero, or like a Sivalakshmi said, my father is the hero. Absolutely fine. But I clearly said, I never said Rajini is not the wrong answer, because my favorite hero is also Rajini and Arjun or Ajit Kumar or Amir Khan. So no male faculty member reflected here. I do not know. No male faculty member in this course. Only female faculty members in this course. Why there is no response? Okay, fine. Fine. Let me continue. So the meaning is, what is the thing is, when we put the question, immediately we have some perception. This kind of a question only asked. No. How we are understanding the question is the first thing. Second thing is, see, answers are different, but all the answers are correct answer. You see here, all the answers are correct. All the answers are correct. Okay. So in my question, all the answers are correct. So what is the meaning is, this is the subjective question. When the objective question means only one answer. Only one answer. Okay. Two. Only one answer. One procedure to solve the problem. Okay, this is the objective question. This is the objective type of question. So how I am going to bring the subjective question in my paper, or interaction with the subjective questions in the classroom? How I am going to bring the objective questions in the classroom, that play a major role. But apart from that, when we come to the subject, right? The question items, whether it will be a subjective or objective, the test items are two kind. One is a selection type, another one is a supply type, where the student supply the answer, here where the student select the answer. So select the answer means you are all aware different kind of a questioning, like a MCQ, where single selection, multi-selection, K-type, or relationship analysis MCQ, or match the following, true or false. So don't think that true or false or match the following only we have to do in the schools. No, how the question I am going to bring in a complex manner, that is major part than asking the question. Okay, every question you can ask, each type of question you can ask in your in a classroom or in the assessment. But how you are preparing the question, that is playing a major role. The second thing is supply type, where the students supply the answer, maybe short answer, completion type, single answer, short answer type, then open-ended type, completely open-ended type, like organizing the idea, explaining the idea, then a structured essay type. Okay, I can have a structured type of a fully open-ended question. Then any problem solving, numerical problem solving question. So like we can have a supply type question. Supply type question means you are expecting the answer to write or to explain. Selection type means I am giving the options. Among the options, one of the option is a key option. So the student has to select the key option in the test. Okay, that is what we say. But though we have a different types of questions, right? But you have to understand that there are two kind of assessment procedure. One is called direct assessment procedure. The another one is called indirect assessment procedure. So this is nothing but whatever the question you are going to do, this is the direct assessment procedure. But when you talk about indirect assessment procedure, these are all the things. Indirect assessment strategy, where interview, alumni survey, placement statistics, how many of them placed or doing the studies abroad after their UG degree, any kind of a survey. So these are all called indirect assessment strategy. So in the classroom, when I try to collect the systematic data, I do direct assessment as well as I do indirect assessment. The direct assessment is checking the student knowledge directly with the item. Indirect assessment strategy, check the learning experience. There are two things we have to understand in our teaching learning process. In our teaching learning process, the student learning the content. Learning is one component. Then learning engagement is the second component. Learning is we can do with the direct assessment. Learning experience, we can check the data you can collect through indirect assessment procedures through survey. But the direct and the indirect learning and the learning experience together, very much important for our students. By compulsion, I studied the content, I vomited the content in the paper, I scored A grade. That is content strong. No, I love my content. I studied the content. I enjoyed my content. Then I explained, in my answer script. That is learning as well as learning experience is also reflected here. So both we have to try to bring into our classroom. Both we have to bring to learning as well as learning experience. So both you can check with or monitor with direct and indirect assessment procedure. Fine. So we have discussed the different, strategy. So first we discussed like a subjective and objective. So what is the meaning of subjective and objective? Then we discussed the direct assessment test items. So direct assessment, what are the things we can do? Then indirect assessment, what things we can do? So in the direct assessment, we do a lot of things like an interview or rubrics or portfolio. All things are coming under question paper, standardized questions. These are all the things are coming under the direct assessment procedures. Okay, so that is a thing is happening. Fine. But today, as already I told you in the earlier slide, in today environment, the test strategies or assessment strategies, the collection of data or the conduction of activities in the classroom is little bit changed due to fusion of technology, due to the online assessment tools, due to technology enabled teaching learning process. But we have to understand that the technology and pedagogy should not go into two different directions. If it is go like a two different direction, then the technology cannot be properly used by the pedagogy. So this pedagogy should go along with the technology so that the online assessment is a fruitful one for our classroom. But there are different tools are there, but I don't want to go in detail because you have a separate session on different tools, assessment tools, what we can do with assessment. But there are n number of tools today we are using. Just this is a one sample only I'm putting. There are n number of tools we are using for conducting the assessment. Each tool will give a different authentic type of output, not common authentic output. Okay, each output is different interpretation of data, different authentic output, that will understandable in different way, and we will get the feedback that we have to understand. Fine. So next we will come to the core component. So let me ask you one question, that you all please write one question. In your subject. Write one question in your subject. Okay, in your subject which you are teaching. One question, any question. For example, I write define Ohm's law. Okay, there's a question. Write the algorithm. Okay, so like I'm typing, a question, like you can write one question you are just write one question. Okay, so once you have written a question, then you can have a small commercial break. That break is for with the with the permission of the coordinator. With the permission of the coordinator, I would like to give a small break. That break is to extend for 10 minutes. So now exactly time 11 o'clock. Now the exact time is 11 o'clock. So we will again continue our session by 11:10. So this is with the permission of the coordinators. This is with the permission.
Sure, sir. We can have, sir.
Yeah. So 10 minutes we can have a break. So I gave a small activity to you. The activity is write one question in your subject. Okay, that is the activity. Fine. So we will have a small break. Then we will continue the session. To see, check the largest of 4 numbers. Compare NMOS and PMOS transistors. Why derivations expire on the last Thursday of every month? Derivatives. Analyze the given C program. I think most of you computer science, a Turing machine, push down automata, compare the contrast different type of scheduling algorithm. Why everybody computer science? Is it only to computer science faculty member? I do not know. But most of you have returned for the questions fully on electronics, CMOS, even computer science people are aware of CMOS, everything. So let me start the session. The purpose of why I ask you to write. I will share my screen so that you can get the idea. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so I asked you to write 2 questions. That is actually I wanted to have annotate, right? So whenever you write a question, any question can be divided as a 2 component. One is what ability you are expecting. Okay, for example, in this question, which question I have written like what is called define the Ohm's law. So define is nothing but the ability. Defining is nothing but the ability. So this ability is very, the ability in the remember level, or I can say in the recall level, right? Then on what content you are expecting that ability, on what content that you are expecting that ability, on what content you are expecting that ability. That is very much important. So as already I told you in my presentation, so you wanted to have, this will be reflected there. Okay. So what ability you are expecting, on what content you are expecting that ability. So the 2 components always there in the what is called in your question. So define Ohm's law, which says that define ability, and on the content of Ohm's law, fine. Okay, actually that line everything is coming there. Okay, no issue. So like you have written different questions. Maybe another question I have written like write an algorithm for hierarchical agglomerative algorithm. So once I talk about write the algorithm for agglomerative hierarchical clustering algorithm, where I'm expecting the what is called understanding ability. The student can write the algorithm only if they have a understanding ability. Okay, then if I give a data, ask the student to apply the hierarchical agglomerative clustering algorithm for cluster the data which supplied to you. Then I am asking the student to apply the ability so that they can prepare the clustering of data, right? That can be in the ability of application ability. So like everyone, you have written different kind of questions. You have written different kind of questions. So the questions are like in the chat box, design. So you wanted to make the student to design the ability of design, ability of enumerate, ability of comparing. So understanding, you wanted to compare. So design. So design is purely on in the level of something. So with understanding your design, or you are doing the new design. So new design means application ability. By understanding your design means then it's understanding ability. There are 2 things. So don't complicate these things. You are doing the design by understanding, then it is the understanding ability. You are doing the design by understanding, then you are preparing a new design, then it is called the application ability. So like that ability. Then analyze means don't analyze. It's not like analyze ability. Evaluate the expression. It is not the evaluate ability. It is understanding ability. So analyze the given C program code and list the errors in the following code. So this is understanding ability only. Okay, this is understanding ability. So by understanding, you can do. What is the ability needed to solve the problem? Don't always see the verb. That is the reason the revised Bloom's taxonomy came. The revised Bloom's taxonomy don't stick on particularly on the action verb. Okay, the revised Bloom's taxonomy don't stick on. It won't stick on the action verb. It won't. It will consider the action verb as well as it will consider the content. So content plus the ability together define what ability you wanted to do and what is the level of the complexity of the questions. So that is what we wanted to understand. So any question when you write, then the question is what is called to what is annotate, clear all drawings. Okay. Okay, so any question what you can have is you can have a two component. One is called ability, the another one is called the what is called the content on ability you wanted to develop among the students. So that is the thing you have to understand. So no question without content, no question without ability. But the important thing is on the content, we are testing only on the content, or we are testing on the content which is related to a particular context. This is again a very important thing, because nowadays what happened, all the students are having the good ability when I do assessment and a good ability when I am seeing the grade after the evaluation. So they got 80%, they got 75%, most of them distinction in their bachelor degree. But if I am giving the problem to give the solution for the problem, then they know the content, but they do not know how to apply the content to the particular context. So that is failed. So the ability I am developing among the students only on the content level, or the ability is serving to apply the content into the contextual. So how I am going to connect the N with the X. This is major component in assessment part. Okay, so major component in the sense N is connected to X, content is connected with the context. This is missing in the today student environment. Today students, most of them, they are wonderful in the content, but they are not that much good in connecting the content with the context. So when we do questioning, whenever we are giving the assessment, whenever you try to evaluate the student, try to evaluate them to apply the content into the particular context. So that is the reason today many educators says that we are giving, we have to develop the ability to apply the concept, because engineering is nothing but providing the solutions for the problem. So once I try to provide the solutions for the problem, then ultimately I can provide the solution with the understanding, but I cannot always provide the solution with the understanding. I have to provide the solution by new techniques. So by the way, how I am going to bring the context that will play the major role. Okay, so here again on the annotate, I will clear it. Clear. Okay, clear all drawings. Okay, close this. Okay, so here in my classroom, assume that what are the different core cognitive abilities are there, and how I am going to take the class. But that will be, I have provided this, but this is not that much important, because these are all the part of the assessment procedure, but that is not that much important for today's session, because how the student sustained attention, how you are bracketing, because every student may not have a standard time of attention, because you are all aware some student will have some span of attention, some student have another span of attention. So maybe you know the graph. Okay, I think we used to draw the graph. So before starting the session, at the time of starting the session, the student attention will be here, then it will come down. Then the teacher started to do the interaction, then the attention will go up. Again, it will come down after some time. Then again, the teacher will start to interact, then it will go up like that. This is like a sine wave. Our classroom is like a sine wave. Sometimes that classroom is like that. Okay. if it is like that, then it will be difficult for us. It will be a problem for us. No class like that. It's very, very difficult to have like this. It is very, very difficult to have like this. So whenever we have a classroom, how I am going to bring the sustained attention, how I am going to have a response incubation by putting the bracketing, and how the students having the speed of information processing, cognitive flexibility, okay, how every individual having the cognitive flexibility, right? Then how simultaneous attention, working memory, category formation, then how they are recognizing the pattern so that new learning happened. So these are all the things are core cognitive capacity of individual. So how I am going to develop these capacity, again, it is important, but this more towards on our teaching learning process, Now let me come to the blueprint. Okay, but before going to the blueprint of preparing the question paper, you must understand what are the different kind of test items are there. Okay, so these items are going to play major role. These items are going to play a major role in setting the question paper. By the way, yeah, before I am going to this, I must give a clarity on it. See, you can have a very clear thing. Every student, whenever you conduct assessment, whenever you are conducting the formal assessment, right, there is called observed score. Okay, observed score. So observed score is equal to the student true score plus any error. Okay, since the error is negligible, the true score is equal to observed score. So whatever after the test, whatever the score they are getting, that is nothing but their true knowledge. It is reflected the true knowledge, right? But if the error is not negligible, the error play the role in the true score, then whatever the observed score from the true score, it is not the exact knowledge of the student or exact ability of the student. How to minimize the error? So the minimizing the error is nothing but the item. How I am going to select the item to test the ability of the student. So what item I have to select to test the particular concept? So what kind of a question item, in the sense what kind of a question I have to use for testing the particular concept, because I cannot use always one kind of item to test the all kind of ability. So different ability can be tested with the different items. So how to select the items that play the major role? So in that scenario, here you must understand that what are the different items are there. So as already we have discussed, there are items are supply and selection type. We can select different items, but setting the item, right? Setting the item without any error play the major role. But selection of the item, whether I am going for short answer type or I am going to long or problem solving question. So there are a different criteria are there. What kind of a question I have to use? Maybe outcomes measured. What kind of outcome I can measure if I go for short answer? I'm not saying that always we have to use lower order outcome. Sometimes we are using the higher order, because in one of my earlier lecture, one of my participant asked a question, sir, I have a short answer question. Whether with the short answer question will I able to test the higher order outcome or higher order ability of the student, right? Maybe I can have an MCQ question. In the MCQ question, will I able to test the higher order outcome? Is it possible or not? Absolutely, it is possible. Okay, but what kind of a test we are conducting? Maybe I will ask you a question here. Maybe you can type the answer in the notepad. Right? The purpose of entrance examination. The purpose of nation. The purpose of entrance examination for higher studies. The purpose of entrance examination for placement. Okay. Can you type? I am waiting for you. I am waiting for your answer. The purpose of entrance examination, higher studies. The purpose of entrance examination for placement. I am waiting for your answer. I am waiting for simple question. Don't think too much. I never ask the question. I am not that much intelligent to ask the question, too much intelligent question. Very simple question. To test their aptitude. Absolutely, Shushma madam. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. To find the quality of the candidate. Very good, madam. Really, Dr. Kavita madam, you are exactly right. Yeah, Subhashini madam, two for filtration. Yes, that is what, yeah, for filtration. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Any other answer? Yes, Subhashini madam is come out with the, one kind of answer. Yeah, to check the their aptitude skills, to check the quality of the candidate for filtration. Then any other answer? Any other answer? Any other answer? Any other answer? Yes. Any other answer? Only three answers. Only three answers. Only three participants are there. Almost 40 participants are here. Almost 40 participants are here. At least I must get 20 answers. 50%. Okay. Because nowadays online training program is going some, in a different, path. It is traveling in different path. I do not know whether the path is correct or wrong. I don't want to discuss in this platform, but it's going in one kind of a path. To know the technical skills of the student, absolutely Naveen sir, yes, you are right. To know the technical skill, to know the aptitude, to know the quality of the candidate, then to filtration. Assume that I have a 10 seats in maybe Tamil Nadu. Okay, Tamil Nadu is having 10,000 seats in medical colleges. Okay, then don't think that when application called only 9,800. Yeah, identify the potential candidate. Absolutely, Sudha madam. 9,800 candidates applied for the seats. Is there necessary for conduct the entrance examination? Maybe can you tell me? See, there are Tamil Nadu, there are 10,000 seats in medical colleges, government colleges. But when application called, just I am putting one scenario. Okay, I am not going to realistic, but once this is a scenario. In Tamil Nadu, there is a 10,000 seats are in medical college. Then when application called, only 9,800 applied for the seats. Checking ability to analyze. Sir, Sabarish sir, now the question is, yeah, you are right. To checking the ability to analyze the skill level of the industrial need. Yeah, everything you are right. Now I am coming to the next question. In Tamil Nadu, there are 10,000 seats in medical colleges. When application called, only 9,800 applied, candidates applied for the seats. There is any necessity to conduct entrance examination? Yes or no? Definitely to select the top government colleges. Fine. Okay. Dr. Muttamilan. Yeah. Yes. Find the topper list. Yes. No. Who is deviating? Deserving candidate. Absolutely fine. So now again you are ranking the engineering colleges. So you are ranking I wanted to have a close to my home, all the things. But the test is for what? The test is to get the seat in the college. Okay, the test is the purpose of the test is to get the seat. So everyone will get the seat. Then everyone will get the seat. Then you wanted to rank it. I don't want to go for ranking. I am not going to too much of these things. But 9,800 seats are, candidates applied 10,000. Then there is no need of entrance examination. The reason behind everyone will get. The same, a company is coming. A company is looking for 200 candidates. Okay, 200 candidates. Right. Then they are looking for 7 CGPA. And in my college, only 180 students are having 7 CGPA, but they wanted to take, they need 200 from your college, right? They need 200 from college. Then here only 180 are available. So entrance examination. So absolutely, what I wanted to bring here is, The purpose of the test I conduct for filtering, to eliminating them. That is one category. That is what I wanted to make it here. Okay. The purpose of the test is to eliminate them, and I wanted to get the people who eligible for the next level. That is the one thing. So whether I am conducting the assessment for eliminating them or to conduct the assessment for checking the progress of the learner. Okay. So there I talk about evaluation. I am collecting the systematic data. I am eliminating them. But here, when we talk about outcome measured, the short answer question or MCQ question doesn't mean that we cannot use it for higher level. All kind of questions we can. The way you set is you can use it for higher level, order ability or lower ability. But in general, we are using short questions are having to serve the purpose of lower ability, and essay questions or a long answer or problem solving questions are to solve the, get the ability of the, or to monitor the ability of the higher order ability outcomes. Okay, that is what the first criterion. The second one is sampling of content. So sampling of content, whenever I go for short answers question, for example, I wanted to have a 100 mark in the question paper, where if I go to each MCQ is 1 mark, then I have to set 100 questions. Sample is very high. Okay, sample is very high. Then that accuracy also reliable. But long answer question, problem solving question, for the 10 mark, 100 mark, maybe I can have a 10 questions. Each question is 10 mark question. Then the sample is low, but it's having a wide coverage. The coverage is equal, but the sample again matters. Okay. So where we will have a sample, again, it will play a major role when I am selecting the questions. Then preparation of the item. Definitely when number of questions increased, sample increased, the time also consumed. The sample decreased, then I don't need to spend that much time. Again, scoring, absolute scoring is there, relative scoring, not relative scoring, absolute scoring in the sense that is a criterion. Okay, norm reference, criterion reference. Maybe you are all aware. Some of you maybe you can aware of the word called norm reference versus criterion reference. So what is the norm references? Suppose you are asking 10 mark question. The student he has written or she has written 60% of the correct answer. Remaining 40% is not exactly correct. 60% the theory questions, 60% correct. Then you may award 6 mark or 7 mark, 5 mark or a 6 mark or 7 mark. Okay, this is the way you do. Okay, so a 10 mark question where the student answered 60% correct. Okay, 60% correct. Then you will award only 5 or 6 or 7. This is the mark you will award. This is what is called norm reference. Okay, based on the amount of answers correct. Okay, you are criterion means you are asking a 10 mark question where you are looking for result. The results is correct, 10 mark. The results is wrong, then 0 mark. Okay, so this kind of a question is called criterion reference. If you are success, then you will get full mark. If you are not success, then you will get 0 mark. Maybe you may aware military, medicine, or criterion reference. Military, medicine, or criterion reference. Sometimes engineering may go to criterion as well as norm reference. Depend upon the situation, we will react. So what is the meaning is, in military, suppose I am conducting the test for selection, they have to complete the test. Suppose a candidate has to climb the wall. Whoever climbed the wall, they will only go to the next level. Suppose 5 persons are there, 4 persons even didn't touch the top of the wall, 1 person touched the wall. So I cannot say, okay, among the 5, 1 person at least touch the top of the wall, I can select them. Okay, no, it is not at all possible. So those kind of a test. Medicine, again, I follow the procedure which is available in the book. Exactly, I am following the procedure for surgery. Okay, but a patient died. But you see the procedure of my surgery is 100% exactly following the book. Okay, that is not the case. So here the criterion that the patient has to successful surgery we have to do. Okay, the patient has to live. So that way, criterion reference in the sense successful. Okay, 100% successful, not 80% successful or 70% successful. Okay, so that kind of a test. So here, when we talk about scoring, absolute scoring where norm, reference or criterion. I think someone is asking some doubt. Yeah, chat box. I have something. Oh, now they are all very busy with the form. I think attendance or something like that. Okay. Let it be the other side. Let it be other side. I thought someone is asking the questions. Okay. No, fine. So the scoring again is absolute scoring or criterion scoring or norm reference scoring. Okay, norm reference assessment. That again play the is one of the criteria in selecting the item and doing the scoring. Then factors that distort the student scores. Again, it will be play the role. So what are the factors? Maybe you see that you are asking the essay type of question where some students are underlining the points. So what the student wanted to inform to the teacher, the student wanted to inform to the teacher. So these are all the points only you have to read, because I wanted to focus the important point. This important point, to make the teacher to understand the student is writing the correct answer. So what are the factors distorting the score? So how these factors, when I'm going to set the question paper, to avoid? So again, the probable learning outcome. The probable learning outcome is again, related to outcome measured. So this is the way we can have it. Again, there are different guidelines are there. For the question. I'm not going to talk about guidelines. There are different guidelines are there. Maybe one example I will give you. I am giving you. This like literature, I will give it to you. You may get it the complete detail. Sir, this is my question. How many colors? I'm not asking the answer. You just understand rainbow. Whether the question is correct or not. A is 5. B is 6. You just tell me whether the question is C is 8. D is above. Maybe I can put another question also. What is the but computer science people only can answer. That is the reason I am putting this general question. So whether this question, I will open the chat box. Where is the chat box? Chat box. Okay, my chat box is yeah. So bringing the chat box is taking a lot of time. Okay, now can you tell me, is it a correct question? I'm not asking the answer. The question is very simple question I am asking to my students. How many colors in the rainbow? I'm giving option 5, 6, 8, none of the above. Why no response? Everyone busy with any other work? Yes, sir. Please. Yes, sir.
No, sir. Not busy, sir. Just there is no problem in the question. I'm just thinking, what is the mistake? But
because the question itself wrong. Because I should not ask the question whether the question is correct or wrong. So once I ask the question is correct or wrong, correct or not correct, then immediately you will think about what is the mistake in the question. Okay. Yes, so exactly. Don't think. So don't think about spelling mistakes. Yeah. But you see, Sushma madam very clearly said D is the correct answer. Already I told you, I'm not asking the answer. Everyone will give answer D. Okay. Yeah, wonderful. So now Ilagons are giving that a correct question. How many colors in the rainbow? Sir, maybe I see how many colors in the rainbow. I did not understand. Maybe I made a mistake in the spelling. Oh, how many colors are there in the grammatical error? Okay, I am not putting. That is why I told you, don't think about grammatical error or the sentence error. I am generally asking the, okay, I will put accordingly. Dr. Kavita madam, no, put that way. Kavita madam put that, how many colors are
in the rainbow.
Oh, I have to make it very nice, very nice. Okay, okay. How many colors are there in the rainbow? That is, then it is correct. Okay, now it is correct. Do you think that it is correct? Okay, okay. How many colors are there? Okay, so that is why already I told you, don't go too much about grammatical or sentence, but generically the question is correct or wrong. Okay, suppose assume that this is the question I have asked to my students. Okay, all my students, said, maybe 70% of the students said D as the correct answer. Okay, D as the correct answer. Few of them say C as the correct answer. Few of them say B as the correct answer. Okay, so I say that 70% of the student gave the answer to D. Okay, so they gave the answer to D, right? Why I am giving this thing is guideline. I'm talking about guideline of setting the question paper. Okay, so when I gave 70% student, so maybe assume that in 40 per, I have so 25 students, 70%, 25 students. Next day I'm going to the class. So one of the student among the 25, one student among 25, I called, I'm appreciating, and asked the question, how many colors? Okay, now the boy is telling that 12 colors. Where is the mistake? Now the boy is telling that 12 colors. Okay, now the boy. So I am appreciating. I called one student among the 25. I am appreciating. Very nice, boy. You have given the right answer as none of the above. Very good. Now you tell me how many colors. Then the boy is telling that, no, it is a 12 colors. There is no 12 in the answer. That is the reason I gave none of the above. Okay. So where is the problem? He scored 1 mark in the assessment. He scored 1 mark, but when I interacted to the student, he gave 12 color, but it is a wrong answer. Okay, so where is the problem? Question is not properly asked. No. Where is the problem? Yeah, properly asked. That is absolutely. Sir, it's absolutely. So what is the meaning is, whenever I give a none of the above, then the option must have a correct answer. Then only I give a none of the above. If the option does not have the correct answer, if I am giving the none of the above, I do not know whether the student know the correct answer or wrong. Okay, so like every test item when I am going to test. So see here, from the assessment conducted formally, I understood that 25 students are correctly answered, but when I asked the question individually, when I interacted, maybe 25 become 20, okay, 25 become 20. What is the reason? The item is not properly constituted, the item is not properly set. So once the item is not properly set, the score will not reflect. That is what I told you. The observed score is equal to true score plus error. So the true score plus error, the error is nothing but how you are going to test the item. Set the item. So when you are setting the item, it is not properly set. The error will not be negligible. The error will play the major role in the true score. By the time you cannot get the observed score, real knowledge you will not get it. So in this case, this will be the case. Like every item when we are going to set, right? Every item, there are some standard guidelines are there, whether it may be a structured essay question or essay question or 2-mark question or MCQ question or fill in the blank question, whatever the question, some standard guidelines are there. Okay, that guideline maybe I will provide to you. You can follow the guideline when you are going to set the question paper, right? Because it's a general literature, the guideline. I'm just giving one example, but there are a different situation, different suggested terms how you can use the the essay type of question. Okay, so once you understand this guideline, then I am going to prepare the blueprint. So when I'm going to prepare the blueprint is nothing but it's a two-dimensional table. The blueprint is nothing but the two-dimensional table. So the blueprint two-dimensional table, one dimension talks about ability, the another dimension talks about the content. One dimension talks about the ability, the another dimension talks about the content. So already I told you each item talk about ability and the ability need to be developed or ability need to be tested on what content. So the both are that ability and the content, the whatever we discussed each question, that is nothing but two dimensions. One is ability and content. So abilities are nothing but you are all aware in the Bloom's revised taxonomy. You can have a ability because the session is on prepare the blueprint based on the Bloom's revised taxonomy. So in the Bloom's revised taxonomy, you can have a ability. From the remember to, you can have a create. From the remember to, you can have a create. Those are the abilities. But on the content side, the content is providing the knowledge. The content is providing the knowledge. So the knowledge, the content is not the static. It is keep on updating by itself. Okay, content is keep on updating by itself. So what will happen? I can say the content is dynamic. So the knowledge is also dynamic. I cannot say that I have only this much knowledge. Later I can increase my knowledge. So that way, the factual knowledge, another dimension on the content, that nothing but I am putting into the knowledge like a factual, conceptual, procedural, then metacognitive. That way I am going there. So by the way, the two dimension I can bring here as ability and content, ability and the content. So content I am talking about factual and factual, conceptual, procedural, metacognitive. Ability I am talking about remember to create, this kind of a ability, this kind of abilities. Now what I do, I am going to prepare this kind of a what is called a table. I think I wanted to give like this. I wanted to give like this. I wanted to see each item I have to specify like this item need this kind of a knowledge, that is a content, and this kind of a ability, that is what I wanted to test. To apply the reduce, reuse and recycle approach on the conservation. 1 minute, I will. Madam? So to apply the reduce, reuse, recycle approach to conservation, then I can say on what content, procedural ability and procedural content on application ability. Procedural content, I have to apply the procedure to in the application ability. Like two-dimensional tables, I have to prepare first of all two-dimensional table. For example, I am going to take an example of BTech Information Technology, 5th semester. The paper is Computer Communication and Networks. So this is the blueprint. This is the two-dimensional table is the blueprint. So the two-dimensional table talks about the column header or remember, understand, apply, and hierarchy ability. You can go, just I am putting the sample table because of the presentation only limit to this much. Then on what content. So here I have to give the what is called the weightage. I have to give the weightage for each unit. Unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, unit 5. Then I have to give the weightage for each unit. So when I wanted to give the weightage, most of the time the universities are having the standard, each unit you must ask this much amount of questions or this much amount of marks, 20 each unit. So ultimately 20 units, so 20 marks. But suppose if you have a freedom, then you can identify the weightage based on the number of periods allotted for the each unit, and the usefulness of the particular unit to learn the same subject, usefulness of the particular unit to learn the other subject of the same core program, usefulness of the particular unit to get the job or placement. These are all the important component we have to discuss. So once I decide the importance of the unit, then I can decide in each unit how much I am going to decide. 20 or a different way I can do if you have a freedom. But this you can have in the freedom, independency. So how much you wanted to test on rememberability, how much you wanted to test on, because you know the course outcome. So based on the course outcome, this much rememberability I wanted to assess, this much understandability I wanted to evaluate, this much application ability I wanted to evaluate, this much analyze ability I wanted to evaluate. Here the university will not play a major role. 1 minute. to the teacher. Teacher can decide on this. So here that university will not play the role. That is the reason today what universities are saying, you have to set some questions on the application level. You have to set the questions on the higher order level, because they do not know how much they have to do. But they are saying that the third, sometimes the CEG, they are saying that the last question should be a higher order level, and it may be from any unit, they are saying. So here they are giving the freedom to the question paper setter. Whether you are conducting internal examination or you are conducting external examination, how you are going to take the freedom of this. But here, I just put like this, but you may have all equivalent exactly 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. But sometimes if you have a freedom, suppose university system, you have a freedom, then you can set this item based on the importance of the unit. Once you are deciding these two, for example, actually here there are some values. Oh, I have to enable this. I have some values. Okay, so what is the meaning is, for example, in this subject, computer communication and networks, I wanted to say remember 20%, understand 60%, then apply 20%. Then there is no, because the course itself, in the level of outcomes are in the level of only in the application level. Okay, so I set like that. Then I wanted to have this kind of a difference. Then I'm going to set the values. I'm going to set the value. So this is identified. And this is also identified. You see, I am going to fill the value. So this is a 0. So I am going to fill the value. It's nothing but in the network design, LAN access method and the standards, packet switching networks, TCP/IP architecture, advanced network architecture, and security protocols. So in this first unit, I wanted to set recognize level questions 5 mark, recall question 5 mark. So first unit. Then in the first unit, I wanted to have a 2.6, 2.7 means nothing but, it is nothing but the explain and, because the understandability itself is having the 7 level. So compare and explain is nothing but this is 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7. Then 3.1, 3.2 like I am providing here. Okay, don't think that the 2.1 means something different. So compare and explain ability. So compare and I am setting the questions in the level of compare, in the level of explain 2 mark, 4 mark. But how I am going to set the question paper is, structure is a question where I am going to provide that one, right? So I am filling the table very carefully, but just I am, next slide I am going, it is filling the table, but this will be a lengthy task. I have to spend a minimum of 1 hour to fill this table. Okay, so how I am going to fill the table? First unit, what are the questions I have to ask, or how much amount of questions or how much mark I wanted to test among the students so that it will reach to 20. Okay, here it is 18, suppose Anna University standard is 20. So 20 mark I wanted to ask in the remember level, okay, from the unit 1. Then 3 mark I'm going to ask from the unit 2 from the remember level. Sorry, remember means recall level. 3 mark again, 2 mark, 2 mark. Then there is no recognized level, you see, after the unit 1. Then I am coming here, 2 mark in the understand level, 2 mark in the understand level, 4 mark, but from the unit 1. Then in the second unit, 4 mark, 4 mark, 4 mark. Okay, in the understand level, that is compare, differentiate, explain. Right? Then here I can say this is nothing but execute. This is nothing but actually here I have to give 5. So implement, I made a mistake. Here I have to make a 5. Today I was trying to set it by the time. Oh, so here I wanted to give a 5. So 5 mark to implement a new, I am giving the new, idea. I'm asking the question where I am getting that implementation. So I am giving that one. So this kind of a thing, once I prepare this, then I am going to start to set the question paper. By the way, when I am trying to set the question paper, here the structured essay question play the major role, because we have a question, 2 mark question, 5 mark question, then 15 mark question. So 2 mark question I can set 2 mark, 5 mark question, but a 2 mark question when I set, all the 2 mark questions should have a equal level of complexity. Suppose if you wanted to have a remember level, so one question you wanted to set at remember level, the second another 2 mark question is in the level of something like understand level with the higher level of explanation, then it is not the correct way to do. Okay, correct way to do. Always whenever you set the question, you have to set the question in the same level, maybe little bit modification we can to do, but not too much of oneness in the level of Remember, another one is in the level of apply that we cannot do, because once I am distributing the mark, all the marks I say as a 2-mark question, then it should be in the same level of complexity. But how can I give a 3-mark, 12-mark, all the things? When I am setting the essay type of question, then I can divide a 1 question as a 3 question, maybe essay type of, maybe explain the architecture of 8086 microprocessor with the neat diagram. Then here, that same question I am asking in a different manner as a structured essay question. One is draw the architecture of 8086 microprocessor. Then second one is differentiate the direct addressing mode and the indirect addressing mode. But I'm not asking every addressing mode, direct and indirect addressing mode, or immediate and, compare the immediate and the indirect addressing mode. Then the third question is something like registers available in the what is called 8086 microprocessor. So such a way, if I make the question as a structured essay question, as an open-ended question, then what will happen, where I can have a freedom to have a more sample, because number of questions also get increased, as well as I can have a flexibility to set the mark so that the mark can be assigned like a 3, 4, 5, like that I can assign. But at the same time, I have to test the usability. So I am putting lot of sample, but the student not able to answer within 3 hours. So that again, I have to consider. So this blueprint will provide the facility to the teacher to set the questions. So the control of examination get the blueprint along with the question paper, then that will give the clarity. What is the amount of complexity question set in the question paper? So whenever I go to this area, then this is the questions are having more complex. Whenever I travel to this area, okay, when I talk about annotate, whenever I travel to this area, the question is too easy. Whenever I travel to this area, the question is too difficult. Sometimes the students say that the questions are difficult, nothing but the questions are play in this domain, in this area. The students say that the questions is very easy, nothing but the questions, most of the questions asked in this area. Okay, so here they say as easy, here they say as difficult. Okay, this is what happening. But how I am going to distribute everything, that is playing a major role. That is playing the major role. Once you set this, then setting the question paper is very simple. So this blueprint you have to prepare. But this blueprint exactly match with the learning outcome. You should not learning outcome at one level of complexity, but the blueprint is giving another level of complexity. Then it is not suitable to test the student, because UG students means a certain level of ability you are expecting. PG students means a certain level of ability. You are expecting the UG student ability, which is nothing but the higher order of PG student ability. Then what is the purpose of PG program? No, it is not possible. So that learning outcome need to be properly mapped with the what ability you are going to test in the blueprint. That is we have to do. Okay, so this is what that blueprint you have to do. But this exercise you have to do. This exercise you have to do. This exercise will give the clarity to you that how you can set the question. So by the way, this will go with the revised Bloom's taxonomy from the remember level to higher order level. Even you can go to higher level, but this will go to the factual knowledge, procedural knowledge, metacognitive knowledge, and what is called the hierarchy. So every question will have what kind of knowledge you are, whether you are expecting the procedure or you are expecting the student to apply the concept on understanding ability. That is what I mentioned in this example, like what procedure, what knowledge they have to bring. Okay, what knowledge you are testing and what ability. So procedural knowledge with the application ability I am testing. So like you have to set the blueprint for the question paper, right? Then the second, another thing is what is called the performance assessment, where you can test the use with the rubrics. But we have just discussed only on the Bloom's revised taxonomy blueprint for setting the question paper. I hope this will be understandable to you.